up, Traeger Nation? Chad Ward here, and we are in my buddy Justin Herbert's backyard. What's up, my man?
Yep. Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, dude, happy to be here. And we are talking all Victory Brisket today. I think it's time, man. The meter's telling me this brisket's done.
You've outdone yourself again.
Well, you get the assist too, bro. We got tailgating season coming up, football season. Whether you're staying at the house and having people over or you're going to the tailgate, it's one of those you can get out of the way the night before, enjoy with the friends and family. In your case, you like to use it to enjoy a victory.
Exactly. One of my personal favorites. It's a whole process to go through, but it's well worth it.
You know, when you guys do get a victory like that, you think about all the game planning that went into it, right? Yeah. All the film you watch, this and that. Kind of the same thing with a brisket. You know, you put a long overnight cook into it, paying attention to what the brisket's telling you, when it's done, all those type of things. And when you have that great bite, you're like, all right, man, let's do it. So we got to start with seasoning. So we've already trimmed this up. A couple of things I did here, just try to get it symmetrical, a nice symmetrical brisket, cooks more even. Clean out some of the fat on the bottom so it'll lay a little more level and cook even also. One little tip or trick, I don't know if you know this one, a lot of times when you get a good bark on the brisket, it's hard to tell which way the grain goes.
Yeah.
So this right here is going to be a throwaway piece anyway. So I just take my knife and give myself a guide. So when this brisket's done, I know that I need to slice this way to make sure they're all against the grain and super tender.
That's a vet move.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, old boy. So different flavors we can use for seasoning. Today I picked two of my favorite. I like using the coffee because it's a little bit finer. So I like to lay down the fine rubs first and then a little bit chunkier ones next. So that's why we'll go with the prime rib next. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to be bashful about it. It'll take plenty of seasoning. I think I'm going to go even a little more, bro. This is a 20-pound piece of meat.
The more seasoning, the better.
I mean, we'll get in there and get it a little heavy. And the other thing you got to remember, too, is we got to get the sides for the grain. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You
don't get those sides covered and people start, questioning. Yeah. We don't need any keyboard haters on us. All right. We'll get around to here. Hit this edge up top. Plus, you got to make a little bit of a mess when you're seasoning, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the backyard. I'll clean up later.
All right. And come down through here. Who do you say in the past when you've done the Victory Brisket, who holds the record for most Victory Brisket consumed?
That's a great question. I think it's easily Scott Questenberry. So he played center for us a couple years ago.
Okay.
And now he's in Houston. And he was a loyal brisket eater. He'd come over every time. He'd bring ribs. He'd do the whole thing.
Oh, so he's put a little skin in the game, too.
For sure.
Awesome. You want to give us some of that prime rib on top? Not only if you season higher does it look good on the gram, but you can get you get a little more, see how you can spread it out a little more evenly?
Yeah. And it looks cooler.
And it looks cool. I mean, it's making this video go viral right now with you doing that up top. Not exactly a Salt Bay, maybe more of a Spice Bay, Awesome. And so what I like to do is I'll usually get this rubbed up and let it sit at room temp, like inside, for about 30 to 45 minutes. And what you'll notice is it makes this really nice slurry to where the seasoning already starts to work into the meat.
Yeah.
And I find when you allow it to do that, that's how you get that nice bark, because you're already kind of creating creating that bark with the way the seasoning melts into the protein. So I think we let this baby wait, and we'll throw her on and get her to cooking.
How long is it going to go on for?
So I think this was 20 pounds before we broke into it. After it trimmed up and everything, probably about 18 pounds. I would say probably going to take us 10 to 12 hours. I'm going to start at 225 super smoke. Okay. Is that kind of the way you usually roll?
I like it. I would start with the Traeger recipe at 180, but hey, you're the master. So.
All right. We're going 225 super smoke, and then you guys can check in, and we'll show you the next step in the process. All right, Justin, as you can see here, my man, the seasoning is melted in. We kind of got that bond we were talking about. It looks pretty good, doesn't it?
I think it's ready to go.
All right, then one more thing. Secret to success. What do you know about the meter?
After this little tutorial, I'm going to use it.
Well, cue tutorial. So this is really, really cool. So Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. All we want to do is just stick this in kind of the thickest part of the brisket. Make sure we get to that line right there. Once we fire this baby off, it's gonna tell us when it's done, how long we want to rest it for, the whole 9 yards. So it's gonna help us just control the cook, give us a look at it. It's really nice on that nice overnight brisket to be able to have that, and just instead of having to come out, check on things, you can just look at your phone, see where things are at, and keep rolling.
And that's good to be there the entire time?
That's good to be there the entire time. It holds up to the temp very, very well, so this thing's built super, super robust.
And you just charge it in there?
Yep, just charge it in here, and you're good to go.
Impressive.
Pretty snazzy, huh? All right, we ready for a little TV magic? We're going to throw this baby on.
Let's get to it.
Woo! All right, so we're going to go right here, and that is our brisket that's going on. And then we have this one here that has been on now
Switch the gloves.
about 6 hours. If you will do me a favor.
I got fresh gloves.
Fresh gloves. Will you get me 2 long pieces of foil? I'm probably thinking about like this, old boy. Your wingspan. So because the brisket's wider, we'll do it like this. And I'm going to grab our big spatula.
Done just like that.
And there we go. So this has been in, like I said, about 6 hours. We're sitting at about 170 degrees. If you look at that bark, I'd call it a dog, because that has some serious bark, old boy. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take, I'm going to start it here.
Okay.
Just start getting this baby nice and tight. We'll do one flip. Everything kind of tucked in here. Wrap this thing like Mama wrapped that Christmas present back in the day, son. Nice and tight. Come back over.
Yep, you've done that before a few times. Huh?
All settled in. Go back, meat side down, or sorry, fat side down. Gonna take our meter probe right back in, and we'll go right back to the grill.
So it'll continue to cook a little bit once you pull it off, right?
Yeah, so this here, we're wrapping at this point because this brisket's taking as much smoke as it's gonna take.
Yeah.
Usually happens around 165, 170. So we want to get it in this foil, or you could use butcher paper. What this will do is now this is going to speed up the cook.
Go.
So now we're going to get a little bit of a braise, if you will, so it'll make that brisket get to the finished temperature we want without drying out.
Sorry, what was that final temperature that you wanted to do?
So this we're looking at somewhere around 203 to 208.
Okay.
And what I'll show you is I use a temperature, but also the meter will tell us. Or if you want that last little bit of gratification, you can take and probe it yourself. And when the probe slides into the meat perfectly with a little bit of resistance in the middle, that's when it's done.
Okay.
Because when we pull it off, it's going to carry over, cook about another 2-3 degrees.
Yeah.
And that last little bit's going to break down.
Okay.
So we'll get this back on. I'm guessing probably about another 3 hours.
Cool.
There we go. Go to sleep, and we can go fire at the PS5 or something. We got a couple hours, bud.
Let's go play.
I think it's time, man. The meter's telling me this brisket's done. We ready to check it out?
Let's see what it looks like.
All right. Oh, it feels it. I feel that jiggle, old boy. Woo!
Smells good.
All right. Well, I'm kind of unwrapping this. Let's talk a little bit about kind of how you have been introduced to the Traeger brand, how Victory Brisket came about. Just, let's talk about how we got here.
So I think it starts way back. My grandfather, Rich, he had the original Traeger. I don't know what year it came out, but it looked pretty old. And so we'd go over to his house and he'd cook ribs, chicken, whatever it was. And he was the master. And so like my dad learned from him, I learned from him. And like that's just kind of what we did Sunday night. Like you go over, you have great food, and you spend time with your family. So looks awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
But then fast forward to 2020, the COVID year for the draft, I got a new Traeger. Thanks to you guys.
Yeah.
And we kind of just used it, like continued to do what we'd been doing. Ribs, chicken, kind of started expanding into the briskets, and then you fast forward another couple of years where we're playing. Actually, same year, 2020. Teammates at the time, Nate Gillum and Gabe Neighbors. We had a bunch of meat in the freezer, and we won a game, and we're like, all right, let's cook up the brisket. Like we had the brisket, we saved it for that time, so we won a game. Followed the Traeger recipe, and then at that time there were a bunch of fires in Southern California, and so we had to get evacuated from our house, and so the Traeger was going, and so I had to go back, make sure to turn the Traeger off,
right?
And I lost the brisket. It was just staying there because I had to get out. There were fires. And,
sure.
So we're like, dang, like we just devastated. Like just won this big game, lost a huge brisket. And so the next week, I think we won again, and so we're like, all right, we'll do it again. So we went and got another brisket. I think Traeger might have actually sent me one because they knew that I lost it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then posted online. It was like Victory Brisket or whatever, and people loved it. And it kind of started out as a joke, to where it's like, you know what, we won this game, we lost this brisket. Did it the next week, turned out really good, and then some of the teammates saw it and not got upset, but they were like, hey, where's my invite? Where's my brisket? And so I was like, all right, next week, next game, we won, made another brisket, everyone came over, and it just kind of continued on from there.
That's so awesome, though, because, I mean, there's something about when you go out on the field with a team like that, you have a victory, you're celebrating, and then that next day, you know, it's kind of y'all's down day, but the fact you all still want to get together, all still, you know, kind of, hey, this is the last to celebrate it because we got next week now to worry about, but being able to do it, and like you had said before, you know, one of the things that I love about Traeger is it just brings people together. You know, like around a good piece of meat from different walks of life, just being able to celebrate accomplishments like that, I think it's awesome.
Well, I think one of the best parts too is that each time we've won, we've done something like that, and so the smell, the seasonings, when you get everything together, just reminds you like, oh, we just won a football. It's an even better like.
Absolutely, I totally agree. It's kind of like when you get to the beach and you have that sea breeze.
You're like, yeah, hey, this is where I'm at.
We've got this beauty, man. I'm really happy with it. That bark. Awesome. So we're going to slice this against the grain, remember, like we talked about.
Yep.
I've got a Messermeister slicing knife here. So this, to me, I like when it comes to brisket because you can get those nice long strokes without dragging or tearing the slice.
Yep.
So that's why I choose a slicer like this. And you can get a nice thin slice, too, because we're going to pile this baby up and make a sandwich an offensive line will be proud of.
For sure.
All right, my man. So we know right here that we want to slice this way against the grain, so I'm going to slide in a little bit right here. I'm kind of about a number 2 width on slice.
I was going to ask. And so what's the biggest difference between the flat and the fatter part?
So the flat is what they call, when you're ordering at a barbecue restaurant, they'll say, do you want the lean or do you want the fatty? The lean is this side back.
Yep.
The fatty is when you start getting there and you can see that's the flat. Right there, that's the point.
Yeah.
So this you get kind of the best of both worlds, right? So I say, me and you will go halves on a slice here, my friend.
Count me in.
So you look, I mean, that moisture is just phenomenal. The other thing we like to do in barbecue is what we call the bend test.
Yeah, and that passes.
I would say that passes.
Thank you. That's
Go.
pretty good. You've outdone yourself again.
Well, you get the assist too, bro. But that's so good. We use those signature pellets. I'm picking up on that. I got the seasoning coming through. Pretty dang good piece of brisket.
I think it's awesome. I think with the signature too, I mean, you can't go wrong. Whatever you're cooking, it's good for everything. So
I agree. It's one of those you don't have to worry about swapping your pellets out, or it's definitely not anything harsh. It's really, really tasty. But dude, I absolutely love this. Good. I'll share brisket with you anytime, old boy. That's a tasty one. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What an amazing brisket. Dude, I loved it. How about you?
Incredible work, as always.
Oh, thank you, my man. So if you guys enjoyed this video, click the link below. That's going to take you to the recipe. Man, it is all about Traeger Game Day. Make sure you're posting on social media, sharing your Victory Brisket with us, hashtag Victory Brisket, hashtag Traeger Game Day. Subscribe and enjoy all the content that's going to keep coming your way. Look at us, man.